Okay, speak please. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, my name is Adelina Pjetra. I am from Albania. I'm a clinical psychologist, EMDR, BWRT psychotherapist, and a specialist in psychosexual dysfunctions, also trauma specialist. Um, Thinking about this conference is being held in Italy. I want to say hi to my colleagues there. Perciò lo dico in italiano. Saluti a tutti i miei colleghi in Italia e sono molto gelosa che voi siete lì e io no, non potevo venire questa volta. Okay, let's go. I'm gonna talk about a new approach in therapy, BWRT. I don't know if you ever heard about this kind of therapy. I have almost 5 years right now that I'm applying this therapy, and it's like a power tool to my hands. Considering 2019 earthquake in Albania and also during pandemic is the approach that I use the most. Why? Because it's so fast, it's very comfortable for us as therapists and also for clients itself. I don't know if Victor has my presentation PowerPoint, but that's okay. I can go without that. I'm going to explain what is BWRT, Brain Working Recursive Therapy. This therapy was created in 2011 by Terence Watts, a therapist, author of many books and trainings, and principal of the Essex Institute in London, UK. Like many great ideas, it was born out of a moment of inspiration, taking into consideration Libet experiment about the free will, if you ever heard about that experiment. Libet won a Nobel Prize for this experiment. He found out that we don't have free will in the way we think we have. So the experiment was like subjects in front of a circle face like a clock, and there was a moving dot moving around. And he said, in the moment you decide to say a number, just push the button and say the number. From this experiment, the brain activity shows up that the signal was fired up way before the person was conscious about his decision. So 1/3 of the second before. This explains even why our subconscious does things that we don't want to do, why we sometimes can stop ourselves doing things, why we sometimes feel that we just cannot do something or we would really like to, why we so often limit ourselves from getting on with life, or everything that we do without taking in control or without thinking about too much. After working with all sorts of different people for years, Terence became more and more fascinated by the way our mind works. This therapy is neuroscience based. He studied hypnotherapy, CBT, and long other therapies, but they lacked something. There was something missing. They are all good, but something is missing there. And how to realize a new way of thinking? Most therapies require repetitive sessions and activities that the client must continue to do for them in order to be an effective session. The more he practiced and studied, the more he realized that there is no such thing as free will in the typical sense. For many of your thoughts, behaviors, and habits, there is a response to a situation or emotion formed long before you come to consider it. This therapy, brain working recursive therapy, it's a new model of psychology and psychopathology that fits well with current thinking in neuroscience. It is defined in the way of focused problem solving, and this meets the main requirements for a modern therapy. This therapy, I guarantee you, going to be the therapy of the future, but it's already here, and you can search about this therapy. You're gonna see even client evidence, how fast it is, and the results are so permanent. So there's no change to regress any symptom when you work with BWRT. Perhaps the most important thing of it is that it's unique, completely scientific, and works in a completely different way from therapies like CBT, MDR, NLP, counseling, hypnotherapy, or all other similar therapies. BWRT is a groundbreaking therapy that works using the normal function of the brain. How? How do you think that does? By changing the communications performed within neurons. Neurons are highly specialized nerves, and communication performed by neurons are shaped by our past lessons and experiences. BWRT allows to generate a different neural response, in other words, another mental response before reacting to something. The change can be so natural that the client will not even notice this subtle intervention. So what we do in a session with BWRT, well, there is no touching, no tapping, no nothing with the client. We use the brain process to intervene and to change something. So we do our part on the reptilian complex, that part of the brain that is automatic and has no emotions there or logic for the process. Of course, BWRT uses triune brain by MacLean, that is evolutionary explanation of the brain. MacLean did this part for psychiatry and not for psychotherapists or psychologists, but BWRT uses this kind for two reasons. The first, for us to understand the process of the brain, and for the client to understand why their symptoms do not stop even if they try so much or so hard. So this triune brain is developed in stages, 3 stages. So the first one, from billion years to billion years. The first one is the reptilian complex. The second one, paleo-mammalian complex, and the third one, neo-mammalian complex, which is the only one that has awareness in it. Okay, BWRT makes it possible through a simple technique to create a new response pattern for each stimuli, so that the action triggered by the brain is what we want. The therapy is completely without in-depth history, and this is something different from other therapies. So we don't go to dig details of somebody's trauma. It's content-free, so I can work with a person without telling me too much about something that happened in their life, but I still can work without knowing too much. For me, it's important as long the person has a clear idea or just a worst memory, but without explaining. This makes me free to work with my colleagues and family members because it's content free. That's why. The client should not tell me the therapy is about very sensitive or intimate issues, making the therapy much easier to apply in a large number of situations. And it is designed to work really good even online. That's why during the pandemic, I've done the job of my life, so I didn't stop working because it was easy for me to apply this therapy all over the world as much as anyone looked out for my help. This therapy does not apply tapping, touching, holding hands, or anything else that might be thought weird. The other great thing about this is what we do. we do not need to find the origin of the problem, but the worst memory of the problem. Let's say if the person says I have a anxiety or a phobia of something, we don't go back to search where this all starts, but we say to the client, what's your worst memory of this kind of fear that you have? The first worst memory that came to your mind. Why? Because for the brain, it's 1/3 of the second that brings it up. So we work directly there. We change this automatic response and put there another preferred response that the client chooses during the therapy. BWRT does not use frames, reminder techniques. They don't have homework. They don't have homework from themselves like CBT or other therapies. Has nothing to do with eye movement. Other therapies seek to modify or to remove negative emotional responses, while BWRT works in a such way that the response simply does not arise in the first place. Well, I'm talking so fast to catch the time, but you're going to find more at bwrt.org, the official page of this therapy. It's in my heart and my duty telling you that exists such a therapy that is really unique. And you can work so good with a lot of traumas, OCDs, addictions, and such problems and issues that before you had to do years in therapy with your clients. It's such a satisfaction when you get gratitude and appreciation only after 5-6 sessions in therapy by your client. It's for you because you don't get that burnout in our profession. It's something that it's a risk having. With this therapy, you don't get burnout at all. You have energy working with others, even with yourself. As I said, I used a lot during earthquakes, so in emergency situation intervention, and was the first therapy or technique that came to my mind to use right away in that place where everything was down. What I've seen comparing BWRT with EMDR that I used before and CBT and other approaches, during pandemic, when I asked my clients, all of them, how do they feel and how they see themselves right now in this moment, I've seen that clients treated with BWRT were more comfy, were prepared to be locked down more than the government said to us. The government first said 2 weeks, but these clients were prepared for more than that. Tell them the truth, even I didn't prepare myself for more than 2 weeks. And the other clients that I work with, other approaches, they showed a little bit level of anxiety and not ready for a quarantine period, neither for 1 week, not more than 1 week. So seeing such great results from my clients, well, it's my duty to tell my colleagues, if you want to do great job, you all do great job. But if you really want to feel that treasure, we are looking to our clients, that treasure, have a look on BWRT. You can get trained online or live, wherever you are, and make yourself a good investment and make for your client fast resolution, fast results, because we are in 2021 right now. And as you know, nobody has the luxury to stay forever in therapy or to stay long in therapy. And each individual that get well fast, he gonna be a product for the society, for us. So he gonna be able faster to work and to provide for his family or all around himself. Okay, my 23 minutes. My God, I was so fast. Sorry. But Victor said to me that I have to do 25 presentation, 20, 25, and then questions. If you have, right now I am a supervisor, trainer of this therapy in Albania. But mostly you're gonna see online Terence Watts in UK, and try to visit bwrt.org in UK. Any questions? Thank you, Victor. I try to bring it again because I was hoping to be there in person, telling the truth and explain a little bit more. But 20, 25 minutes, it's not enough for me. So I did it a little bit short. But anyone that wants to hear more or to know more about this therapy can contact me through you, or my name is Adelina Pjetra. You're going to find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and wherever you can.